All right, let's get into something a little different today. We're going to dive into a story that feels like it could have been written 1,000 years ago or maybe just yesterday. It's a parable about a world that's just tired. It's about a prophet searching for an ending and an answer he gets from the moon that is anything but simple. So, yeah, this is going to be a deep one. So, right out of the gate, we're hit with this question. Our story kicks off on a strange night where twilight just won't give way to darkness. And a figure, known only as the soothsayer, looks up at the moon and asks this. He wants to know if the final rest, what he calls the great evening, is finally here. In other words, he's asking, are we done yet? Has humanity finally run out of steam? It's a huge, heavy question, and it really sets the stage for everything. Okay, so before we even get to what the moon says, we've got to understand why he's even asking this in the first place. What's going on in this world? What does it actually mean for a civilization to be tired enough? And get this isn't just some human funk. This feeling of exhaustion is cosmic. It goes all the way up, or, well, maybe all the way down. The source material talks about a council in hell where even Satan himself basically throws in the towel, declaring that the whole universal engine has just sputtered out. This long tiredness isn't just a mood, you see. It's a state of being where the very idea of striving has lost all its meaning. So, how does this cosmic burnout actually look down on Earth? Well, it plays out as this massive clash between two different ideals. On one side, you have the classic hero type, the Faustin Übermensch. This is the person who believes we're meant for something greater, to conquer nature, to build, to overcome. And on the other side, you have the last man. And he's just done. He's not trying to overcome anything. All he wants is comfort, safety, and for the world to be a little less pointless. And this is exactly where our soothsayer fits in. He looks at all that striving, all that ambition, and sees it as just a frantic distraction from the truth, that the universe just doesn't care. He believes the real goal isn't to fight against the indifference of the world, but to embrace it. I mean, he literally says the point is to stop fighting the dust and learn to love its taste. It's about finding peace, really, through total surrender. Okay, so that's the setup. The world is exhausted, and the soothsayer is asking if it's all over. So how does the moon answer him? Well, it doesn't just give a simple yes or no. Instead, it tells him a story. A kind of ancient warning, really. And it's all about this mysterious group called the Watchers. So who exactly are these Watchers? Well, the moon explains that they're fallen angels. But here's the most important part. They were the very first ones to feel this deep, profound weariness. They're basically the original case study in cosmic burnout, which makes them absolutely crucial for understanding where the moon is going with all this. And this is where it gets really interesting. Their big sin wasn't the usual stuff, pride or rebellion. It was something way more passive. They just watched humanity. For so long, they saw every cycle repeat, every fire burn out, until absolutely nothing surprised them anymore. They fell because of their eternal, passive observation. Now, this next point is absolutely key. It's a subtle distinction, but it changes everything. The soothsayer looks at these still, silent figures, and he thinks they found rest. He sees peace. But the moon corrects him. Nope. They aren't resting. They're trapped. They're stuck in this state of endless expectation, just waiting for an end they feel they have to witness. And that right there, that is their fundamental mistake. It's the whole point of the moon's warning. The Watchers felt that long tiredness set in and just assumed, well, this must be it. This must be the finish line. They confused the feeling of being completely worn out with the actual end of the story. And as we're about to find out, those two things are not the same at all. And this brings us right to the heart of it all, the true nature of the great evening. The moon is about to reveal that the end everyone's been waiting for, watching for, well, it's not what they think it is. It isn't some destination you just arrive at. This is the big pivot. See, the Watchers, and our soothsayer too, they're looking for an external event, a kind of cosmic sunset they can sit back and watch. But the moon tells him, you're looking in the wrong place. The great evening doesn't happen to the world, it happens inside of you. It's not an event, it's a process. It's the process of forgetting. The moon even lays out the steps. It begins when your sharpest memories start to soften and just become comfortable background noise. Then, that deep ache of wanting something more gets replaced by the simple dullness of routine. And finally, and this one's a doozy, it happens when even feeling regret becomes too much of an effort. When all that happens, the evening doesn't need to be watched anymore. It just is. And then the moon turns its criticism directly onto the soothsayer himself. It's this devastatingly personal takedown. The moon says, hey, you've done your job well. You taught them all how to forget, how to sleep without dreaming, but then it adds the zinger. But you still dream of rest. It basically calls him out for being a hypocrite. He's the prophet of letting go who hasn't actually let go himself. So that realization forces a final dramatic choice. The soothsayer has led the entire world to the very edge of this great evening, but now he has to confront his own place in it. What's the final move for the prophet of the end? The moon offers him what seems like the only logical conclusion. It commands him to finish the journey, to become just like the Watchers, whose mistake it just explained. He's supposed to stand there, empty his mind, and just wait for a nothingness that will never actually arrive. A truly cold, desolate fate. But in this quiet, powerful moment of rebellion, the soothsayer refuses. He rejects that destiny. After a whole lifetime of teaching others to let go, he finally understands what it really means. It doesn't mean becoming a passive, frozen observer. His soft no is a complete rejection of a watcher's entire premise. And here it is, the final truth of the whole story. By choosing to lie down, to turn away from the sky, to stop looking for a sign, the soothsayer finally allows the great evening to be complete. It deepens not because some great darkness falls, but because the need for a witness, for an observer, is finally gone. The peace comes from the simple fact that no one is looking anymore. And that, of course, leaves us with one last, lingering question to think about. This whole parable is about the act of watching, of waiting for an end. But if the truest peace, the real great evening, only shows up when the observer finally turns away, what does that say about our own deep impulse to watch, to record, and to remember everything? It's a fascinating and maybe even unsettling thought to end on.